We've got well over 400 acres here, and we are in fact in ballroom number 1. There will be 3 other factories, one to the north and 2 of them that are to the west of this.
What do your smartphone, your laptop, and NASA spacecraft have in common? They all contain tiny silicon chips made right here in the USA, more specifically in the great state of Texas. You heard that right. Texas, better known for cattle ranching and oil fields, has become ground zero for cutting-edge semiconductor manufacturing. How did this happen? When did the Lone Star State muscle its way into an industry dominated by Silicon Valley? These are some of the questions we'll be answering today as we explore how Texas revolutionized the fabrication of those tiny slivers of silicon that power our digital world. We'll share some little-known facts about these state-of-the-art chip factories that may surprise you. It may seem hard to believe today, but there was a time when Texas was nothing more than a blip on the semiconductor industry's radar. In the early days of the silicon chip industry, Northern California and the Santa Clara Valley, better known as Silicon Valley, dominated advanced semiconductor research and manufacturing. Iconic tech firms like Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, and Fairchild Semiconductor were founded in Silicon Valley and operated their main fabrication facilities in the region. Venture capital firms eager to fund cutting-edge electronics startups also cluster in the Bay Area. By contrast, Texas had no established chip fabrication infrastructure in the 1950s and 60s. The state was better known for oil and gas, aviation, and agriculture, not high-tech semiconductors. This began to change when Texas Instruments opened its first silicon chip plant in Dallas in 1962. But it would still take decades and massive capital investment before Texas could truly rival California's silicon stronghold. In the early days of the chip wars, Silicon Valley seemed unassailable as the epicenter of semiconductor innovation and production. Yet pioneers like Texas Instruments saw a future where silicon would spread across the nation. Ever wondered what happens behind the doors of those sprawling chip fabrication facilities spread across the Texas prairie? What exactly goes on inside these multi-billion-dollar plants to produce the silicon chips powering technologies we rely on every day? The chip fabrication facilities that have arisen across Texas are marvels of advanced manufacturing. For example, Samsung's enormous semiconductor fabrication complex in Austin stretches across an area equal to 46 football fields. This single plant cost over $17 billion to construct, making it the largest foreign direct investment in Texas history. Constructing and operating these fabrication plants requires immense resources. The ultra-clean environments needed for chip production demand extensive air filtration systems. Samsung's Austin facility filters a staggering 5.4 million cubic feet of air per minute. To visualize just how much air that is, it equals the volume of a Major League Baseball stadium in just 4 seconds. These plants also consume massive amounts of water during semiconductor manufacturing. TSMC's total daily water usage in Austin alone is estimated to be around 10 million gallons. To put that into perspective, that's more water than many small towns use daily. However, through sophisticated recycling systems, TSMC can reclaim and reuse over 70% of that water. It's incredible to think just how far chip manufacturing has come in Texas. Texas Instruments opened the state's first silicon chip fabrication plant in Dallas in 1962. In that facility, Texas Instruments produced integrated circuits and transistors used in NASA's Apollo space program. Texas chips helped put the man on the moon. Believe it or not, there was a time when Texas was barely a blip on the radar when it came to advanced silicon chip manufacturing. So, how did the Lone Star State go from silicon newcomer to becoming a world-leading chip fabrication powerhouse? For most of the early days of silicon chip development, the industry was heavily concentrated in California's Silicon Valley. Powerful tech companies like Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA ran their main fabrication plants or fabs in Silicon Valley and the surrounding Bay Area. However, in the 1960s, Texas Instruments began making investments in chip manufacturing capabilities within the state. By building semiconductor fabrication plants in Dallas and other cities, Texas Instruments helped pioneer large-scale chip manufacturing outside of California. Their early efforts proved that Silicon Valley did not have an insurmountable advantage in chip fabrication. Other companies soon followed Texas Instruments' lead. Motorola opened a semiconductor fab in Austin in 1974 to produce microchips for use in consumer electronics and automobiles. South Korean electronics giant Samsung constructed the largest single semiconductor fabrication plant in the world in Austin in the 1990s. This multi-billion-dollar investment was a turning point, cementing Samsung as a major player in the global chip-making industry. But perhaps the biggest watershed moment came in 1996, when Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, chose Austin for its first semiconductor fab outside Taiwan. The TSMC plant positioned Texas as a global leader in cost-efficient chip fabrication. It sparked a wave of investment from other leading chip makers and firmly established the Lone Star State as a vital region for semiconductor manufacturing. Texas's rise as a chip-making powerhouse has not only transformed the domestic semiconductor industry, but also given the state major influence over the global high-tech supply chain. In addition to meeting domestic demand, Texas's robust chip fabrication capabilities make it a crucial link in the economic semiconductor supply chain. Leading foundries like TSMC and Samsung leverage their Texas fabs to manufacture silicon chips designed by companies across the world. Major fabless firms from Silicon Valley and countries like Taiwan and South Korea work hand in hand with Texan plants. This collaborative model allows companies to focus on innovative designs while outsourcing large-scale manufacturing to the efficient fabs rising from the Texan prairie. With skyrocketing demand for chips powering everything from smartphones to automobiles, Texas's world-class fabrication facilities give it unique leverage and influence over global supply. Any disruption at a megafab facility in Texas sends ripple effects downstream across multiple industries. During recent chip shortages stemming from the pandemic, much attention centered on ensuring Texas fabs stayed resilient. The Lone Star State's central role makes clear just how critical its silicon capabilities are in getting chips to market and products into consumers' hands. The ascent of Texas as a silicon titan has delivered enormous economic gains and high-tech leadership. However, this rise has not come without some growing pains and difficult questions. Texas's rise as a chip-making powerhouse has transformed the global semiconductor industry. The state now sits firmly alongside California, Taiwan, and South Korea as a critical region for fabricating the chips that go into our devices. However, this success has not come without growing pains. The intensive water and energy demands of operating ultra-modern semiconductor fabs have led to increasing criticism from environmental groups. Fabricating advanced silicon chips requires millions of gallons of ultra-pure water daily, putting a strain on local water supplies. The extensive use of fossil fuel-powered energy also generates greenhouse gas emissions. In the face of these criticisms, chip makers have reduced their environmental impact. Companies like Samsung and TSMC have invested heavily in solar power installations to operate their Texas fabs using renewable energy. Sophisticated recycling systems allow up to 70% of water to be reclaimed and reused. But some say it's not enough. As climate concerns grow, chip makers are under pressure to switch to 100% renewable energy and further minimize freshwater usage. The level of tax incentives and electricity discounts granted to the industry has also come under scrutiny, but Texas remains a formidable rival, boasting a highly skilled semiconductor workforce and a business-friendly corporate environment. As the chip wars rage on between these two tech strongholds, consumers around the world reap the benefits of their innovations. With Texas now firmly planted as a silicon titan, what does the future hold for further pioneering chip innovations? With its commanding position in the global semiconductor ecosystem now firmly established, Texas seems poised to continue breaking new ground in chip innovations. Major semiconductor companies already operate advanced R&D facilities in Texas, working on the technologies that will define the next generation of faster, denser integrated circuits. One concept under development is the 2-nanometer fabrication process. This involves pushing the boundaries of photolithography further to pack more transistors onto each chip. Gate-all-around transistors are another exciting area of research. These novel nanosheet and nanowire transistor designs enable smaller, more power-efficient transistors. Innovations in chip packaging, like 2.5D and 3D stacking, are also being explored. This involves vertically connecting multiple dies or chiplets to enable new chiplet architectures with expanded capabilities. On the computing side, Neuromorphic designs that use silicon neurons and synapses to power artificial intelligence represent a revolutionary direction. With its combination of technological prowess, manufacturing scale, talented engineers, and business-friendly policies, the Silicon Prairies of Texas seem poised to continue driving advances from design labs to mass production. The future remains bright for the Lone Star State to lead in both cutting-edge digital and quantum silicon. From powering NASA rockets to the phone in your pocket, the story of how Texas became a silicon titan is fascinating. With cutting-edge fabs rising from the prairie, the Lone Star State solidified its status as a chip-making powerhouse. Thanks to the vision and perseverance of pioneers at Texas Instruments, Motorola, and TSMC, the Lone Star State transformed from silicon newcomer to industry leader. So next time you're using your smart gadgets and marveling at their capabilities, take a moment to appreciate the Silicon Prairies of Texas that helped make it all possible. The future is bright for this Southern Silicon Titan. If you guys loved watching this, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. Let's meet soon.